My lungs burn as I sprint across the slick concrete of the marina, the storm turning everything into a blur of darkness and water. The wind tears at my cheap polyester uniform, still stained with marinara sauce from the dinner shift I abandoned 20 minutes ago. Salt spray mixes with rainwater on my face, and I can taste copper in my mouth from pushing too hard, too fast. I shouldn't be here. Every rational part of my brain screams that this is suicide. But Ethan's voice on the phone keeps replaying in my head. The terror. The way he choked on the words, "They're making me plant a bomb," before someone ripped the phone away. My little brother, 20 years old and drowning in gambling debts he'll never escape. The private docks stretch before me like a fortress. Security lights cut through sheets of diagonal rain, illuminating a convoy of black vehicles arranged in perfect formation. Men in dark suits move with military precision, their umbrellas creating a canopy over a single figure walking toward the largest yacht I've ever seen, the Sovereign. White and chrome, 3 stories of obscene wealth floating in the churning water. And Anthony Bellini is about to board it. I've never seen him in person before tonight. Only grainy photos Ethan showed me once, hands shaking, explaining who owned his debt now. The photos didn't capture this. The way people instinctively create space around him. The controlled economy of movement that speaks of absolute confidence. He's tall, broad-shouldered beneath an impeccably tailored charcoal suit that somehow remains crisp despite the weather. Dark hair swept back from a face that could belong to a Renaissance sculpture. Sharp cheekbones, strong jaw, and eyes so dark they look black from this distance. No scars, no visible weapons. He doesn't need them. Everything about him radiates cold, lethal control. I watch as he reaches the gangway, one polished shoe touching the metal ramp. Lightning splits the sky, illuminating the yacht's name in gold lettering. Now or never. I break into a dead run, cutting across the security perimeter. A guard turns, surprise registering on his face a split second too late. I use momentum and desperation, slamming my shoulder into his center mass. He's bigger, stronger, but I catch him off balance. He stumbles, and I'm past him. "Stop her!" someone shouts, but I'm already at the gangway. "Don't board!" My voice tears from my throat, raw and desperate. "Mr. Bellini! The engine, there's a bomb in the engine!" 3 things happen simultaneously. Anthony Bellini stops moving, his foot suspended above the yacht's deck. 4 guns appear, all pointed at my chest, and Anthony's hand rises in a small, precise gesture that freezes everyone in place. He turns to face me fully, and the impact of his attention is physical. Those dark eyes sweep over me in one clinical assessment. Soaked uniform, bare feet bleeding from the sprint across gravel, hair plastered to my skull. I'm gasping for air, hands raised to show I'm unarmed, and I know exactly how I look. Like a crazy person. Like someone who should be sedated and removed. But I hold his gaze, because looking away feels like death. Explain. 1 word. Quiet, almost conversational, but it cuts through the storm like a blade. My throat closes. I force words out. My brother, Ethan Evans. The O'Sullivans have him. They made him. They forced him to install an explosive device connected to the yacht's ignition system. When you start the engine, it'll detonate. I don't know exactly where it is, but I know it's there. Please, you have to check. Silence. He studies me with the same intensity someone might examine a chessboard 3 moves from checkmate. Your brother planted a bomb to kill me, and you're warning me about it. He tilts his head fractionally. Interesting choice. He didn't want to. The words tumble out faster now. They'll kill him if he doesn't. But they'll kill him anyway once it's done. I know they will. He called me. I barely understood, but I heard enough. The ignition system. Something about the fuel line. I don't know bombs. I just know he's terrified. And I can't let anyone die because of him. Anthony doesn't move for a long moment. Water streams off his shoulders, but he seems utterly unconcerned with the storm. Then he turns to the man on his left. Someone built like a concrete wall with gray hair and eyes that have seen too much. "Marco, check it. Every system. Now." Marco nods once and snaps his fingers. 3 men in tactical gear appear from one of the vehicles, moving toward the yacht with practiced efficiency. One of them has a metal detector. Another carries what looks like a portable X-ray machine. Anthony returns his attention to me, and I realize with creeping horror that he hasn't dismissed the guns. They're still trained on me, fingers resting just outside trigger guards. "What's your name?" "Kayla. Kayla Evans." "Kayla Evans." He says it slowly, tasting each syllable. "Where do you work?" The question throws me. "What?" "The uniform. It's from Marino's, the Italian place on 5th. I know the owner." His gaze drops to the name tag still pinned crookedly to my chest. "You're a server." "Waitress. Yes. I was working the dinner rush when Ethan called. And you left your shift to run here. Through a storm. To warn a man you've never met." He steps closer, and I force myself not to retreat. "Why?" "Because it's murder." My voice steadies. "Whatever my brother did, whatever debts he owes, I won't let him become a killer. And you don't deserve to die for someone else's cowardice." Something flickers in those dark eyes. Not warmth exactly. Recognition, maybe. Noble. He stops 2 feet away, close enough that I can smell his cologne beneath the rain. Cedar and something darker. Expensive. Also incredibly stupid. The O'Sullivans will kill you both when they find out you betrayed them. They're going to kill us anyway. I meet his stare, even though my knees are shaking. At least this way I can sleep at night, assuming you live to see night again. Before I can respond, Marco reappears on the gangway, his expression grim. He's carrying something small and metallic, wires dangling from it like electronic intestines. Found it. C4, professionally installed, rigged to the starter motor exactly like she said. Another 30 seconds and... He doesn't finish. Doesn't need to. Anthony's jaw tightens infinitesimally, the only sign of emotion I've seen. When he speaks, his voice is colder than the wind cutting across the marina. "Where is your brother now?" "I don't know. They took him somewhere after he made the call. He didn't say where. He couldn't. They were listening. What vehicle does he drive? He doesn't have a car. He takes the bus. Or he did before." I trail off. "Before he owed Declan O'Sullivan money he can't pay." Anthony finishes. He pulls out a phone, sleek and black, and touches the screen without looking at it. "Get me a location on Ethan Evans. 20 years old, last known address Queens. Cross-reference with known O'Sullivan properties." He ends the call and returns the phone to his pocket in one smooth motion. The efficiency is terrifying. "Mr. Bellini, please, whatever happens to me, Ethan didn't mean..." "Be quiet. It's not harsh. Just absolute." I close my mouth. "You saved my life tonight, Kayla Evans. Whether you meant to or not, whether it was for your brother's soul or your own conscience, you saved my life. That creates a debt. I don't want money." "I know. That's why you interest me." He studies me again, and this time there's calculation behind the assessment. "The O'Sullivans will come for both of you. Tonight, tomorrow, next week. They'll find you, and they'll make examples. Public ones." Ice crystallizes in my stomach. "I know. Then you understand your options are limited." He gestures, and suddenly there are hands on my arms. Not painful, but unmovable. "Marco, take her to the car. Keep her secure but comfortable. And find the brother. Bring him to the estate." Panic flares. "Wait, what are you..." "Saving your life. Again." Anthony turns away, dismissing me. "You gave me information I needed. Now I'll give you something you need. Protection. At least until we resolve this situation with Declan." "I don't understand." He pauses at the gangway, looking back over his shoulder. The yacht rocks gently behind him, a monument to wealth and power that almost became his tomb. When he speaks, there's something almost amused in his tone. "You will. Marco, make sure she doesn't do anything else heroically stupid tonight. I have a phone call to make." Then he's moving again, striding toward the lead vehicle instead of the yacht. The men around him shift formation automatically, creating a protective barrier. I'm guided, not dragged, toward a different car. The leather interior is warm, dry. Someone hands me a towel. Through the tinted window, I watch Anthony Bellini make a call, his expression carved from stone. Whatever he's saying, whoever he's speaking to, it's a conversation that will change everything. And I realize with crystallizing certainty that I've just traded one type of danger for another. The O'Sullivans wanted us dead. Anthony Bellini wants us alive. I'm not sure which is more frightening. The elevator doesn't feel like it's moving, but the numbers climb steadily. 32 floors in complete silence except for the faint hum of machinery. Marco stands beside me, expressionless, while another guard I haven't been introduced to occupies the opposite corner. Nobody speaks. Nobody looks at me directly. I'm still wearing the damp uniform, though someone draped a wool coat over my shoulders during the car ride. Cashmere, probably. It smells like the same cedar cologne Anthony wears. My feet are wrapped in gauze and tucked into slippers 3 sizes too large. A medic cleaned and bandaged them in the back of the vehicle while we drove through the city, his hands efficient and impersonal. Ethan is alive. They found him in a basement storage unit near the docks, zip-tied to a metal chair with a hood over his head. Marco told me this in clipped sentences, offering no details about his condition. Just secured and en route. The elevator opens onto a space that steals what little breath I have left. Floor-to-ceiling windows wrap around 3 walls, revealing the city sprawled below like a carpet of lights. The storm has passed, leaving only wisps of clouds trailing across the moon. The office itself is all dark wood and leather, modern but substantial. A desk that looks carved from a single piece of mahogany dominates one end. Bookshelves line the interior wall, filled with volumes that appear actually read rather than decorative. Anthony Bellini stands at the window, hands clasped behind his back, still wearing the suit from the marina. He must have changed somewhere because there's no trace of rain on the fabric. His reflection in the glass watches us enter. Sit. He doesn't turn around. Marco guides me to one of 2 leather chairs facing the desk. I sink into it, my body finally registering exhaustion now that the adrenaline is fading. My hands won't stop shaking, so I tuck them under my thighs. Would you like something to drink? Anthony's voice is measured, almost polite. Water. Please. Marco moves to a sidebar and returns with a crystal glass filled with ice water. I accept it with both hands and drain half in one pull. The cold grounds me, sharp and real. Anthony finally turns from the window, moving to the bar himself. He pours 2 fingers of amber liquid into a tumbler, neat, and then leans against the desk rather than sitting behind it. The casual posture somehow makes him more intimidating. Not less, like a predator confident enough to relax before the kill. Tell me about your brother. It's not a request. I set the glass on the small table beside my chair, careful not to leave a ring. Ethan, 20 years old. He's studying, or he was studying, computer science at community college. Smart kid. Too smart for his own good sometimes. Smart people don't rack up $30,000 in gambling debts before they're old enough to legally drink. The number hits like a fist. 30,000. I knew it was bad, but hearing the actual figure makes the room tilt. He didn't tell me how much. He didn't tell you a lot of things, I imagine. Anthony takes a slow sip of his drink. The O'Sullivans run a poker room in the basement of a restaurant in Queens. High stakes, no limits, and they extend credit to anyone stupid enough to ask. Your brother asked, repeatedly. He's not a bad person. My voice sounds defensive even to my own ears. I didn't say he was. I said he was stupid. There's a difference. Anthony's dark eyes fix on me with unnerving focus. But you're not stupid, are you, Kayla Evans? You knew exactly what you were risking tonight. You understood that warning me meant signing your own death warrant, and you did it anyway. I couldn't let him murder someone. The words come out flat. I couldn't live with that. Why not? The question is genuine curiosity. People die every day. Most of them for reasons far less compelling than debt collection. What makes one stranger's life worth sacrificing your own? I don't have a good answer. Or rather, I have an answer that sounds naive when spoken aloud. Because someone has to draw a line somewhere. My mother used to say that choosing to do nothing is still a choice. I chose to do something. Your mother. He sets down his drink with deliberate care. She died when you were 17. Cancer. You dropped out of your senior year to care for her, then went back and finished a year late. No college. You've been working service jobs ever since, supporting both yourself and partially supporting Ethan through school. The clinical recitation of my life makes my skin crawl. You had me investigated, already. I had you investigated before Marco finished checking the yacht. I know what you ate for breakfast 3 days ago. I know you're 2 months behind on rent. I know you walked out of a shift tonight without telling your manager, which means you're probably fired. He picks up his drink again, swirling the liquid. I know everything I need to know about you. The question is whether you're smart enough to understand what that means. It means you're dangerous. My pulse hammers in my throat, but I force myself to maintain eye contact. It means you have resources and reach that I can't comprehend. And it means you're deciding right now what to do with 2 people who've complicated your life. Close. The corner of his mouth lifts a fraction. I've already decided what to do with you. I'm waiting for your brother to arrive so I can decide what to do with him. Before I can respond, the elevator chimes. The doors open, and 2 men enter, half dragging a third between them. Ethan's face is swollen on one side, dried blood crusting under his nose. His hands are zip-tied in front of him, and he's shaking so violently he can barely walk. Ethan! I lurch out of the chair, but Marco's hand on my shoulder stops me. Kayla? Ethan's voice cracks. His eyes find mine, wide and terrified. Oh God, Kayla, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know what else to do. Quiet. Anthony doesn't raise his voice, but the command slices through Ethan's babbling. The men dump my brother into the second chair. Ethan curls forward, hunching like he's trying to make himself smaller. Anthony approaches slowly, studying Ethan with the same clinical detachment he used on me. Ethan Evans, 20 years old. Computer science major with a gambling problem and no survival instinct. He circles the chair. You took money from Declan O'Sullivan, $30,000 over 6 months. You lost it playing poker with men who've been playing since before you were born. And when Declan called in the debt, you agreed to commit murder rather than face the consequences. They said they'd kill me. Ethan's voice is barely audible. They showed me pictures of what they do to people who don't pay. I saw what they did to this guy. His fingers were... I don't care what they showed you. Anthony's tone doesn't change, but ice crystallizes in each word. You put a bomb on my yacht. My yacht. Do you understand how spectacularly foolish that was? Ethan stares at his bound hands, tears streaming down his face. Anthony returns to the desk, picking up his drink. Your sister saved both our lives tonight. She sacrificed her safety, her job, possibly her future, to warn me about what you'd done. That kind of loyalty is rare. Admirable, even. He takes another sip. So I'm going to give you both a chance to survive this. But first, I need to make a phone call. He pulls out his phone, taps the screen, and activates the speaker. The ringtone fills the office, each pulse amplifying the tension. A rough voice answers on the third ring. Who's this? Declan. It's Anthony Bellini. We need to talk. Silence. Then a laugh, sharp and humorless. Bellini. Heard you had some excitement at the marina tonight. Shame about your yacht. Hope you weren't planning any trips. Anthony's expression doesn't change. The yacht is fine. The bomb was found and disarmed. Your asset failed. The silence stretches longer this time. When Declan speaks again, the amusement is gone. I don't know what you're talking about. Of course you don't. Just like you don't know Ethan Evans. And you didn't threaten to kill him unless he planted explosives on my property. Anthony's voice remains conversational, almost friendly. But since we're pretending, let me explain something. The Evans siblings are under my protection now. Their debt to you has been purchased by me, along with any claims you might have on their lives or services. You can't just... I already did. The money will be transferred to your account within the hour. $30,000, plus interest at your usual rate. Consider it a business transaction. He pauses, letting the words sink in. But understand this, Declan. If you or anyone associated with you approaches either Kayla or Ethan Evans, if you so much as look in their direction, I will consider it a declaration of war against my family. And we both know how that ends. You're starting a war over 2 nobodies? Declan's voice rises. Over some punk kid and his waitress sister? I'm preventing a war by establishing clear boundaries. The Evanses belong to me now. Touching them means touching me. I trust I'm being clear. Another pause. I can hear breathing on the other end, harsh and angry. Finally, Crystal. Excellent. Enjoy your evening, Declan. Anthony ends the call and pockets the phone in one smooth motion. He finishes his drink, sets the empty glass on the desk, and turns his full attention to me and Ethan. Here's how this works. You both live on my property. You both work for me. Kayla, you'll manage household operations. Ethan, you'll assist my security team with technical systems. You'll have rooms, meals, everything you need. But you don't leave without permission. You don't contact anyone from your old lives. You exist within my protection until I decide the threat has passed. How long? My voice sounds steadier than I feel. Until I'm satisfied that your debt has been paid. Not the money, understand. Loyalty, trust, proof that saving my life tonight wasn't a calculated move to gain favor, but genuine character. He crosses his arms. Refuse, and you're both free to walk out that door. I'll have Marco drive you anywhere in the city. Of course, Declan will know within an hour, and you'll be dead by morning. But the choice is yours. Ethan looks at me desperate. I can see the question in his eyes. The plea for me to fix this like I've fixed everything else in his life. But this time, there's no fixing. Only surviving. We accept. The words come out firm. Final. Anthony nods once. Marco, show them to their rooms. Make sure they have everything they need. As Marco cuts Ethan's zip ties and helps him stand, Anthony catches my arm. His grip is light but unmovable. When I meet his eyes, there's something unreadable in them. Your brother made a mistake that should have cost him his life. You made a choice that earned you mine. Don't confuse the two. Then he releases me, and I follow Marco toward the elevator, Ethan stumbling beside me. As the doors close, I catch one last glimpse of Anthony Bellini standing alone in his office, silhouetted against the city lights. We're not prisoners exactly, but we're not free either. We're something else entirely, something I don't have a name for yet. 7 days in the Bellini mansion, and I've learned that luxury doesn't mean peace. It means thicker walls to contain the violence, better locks to keep threats outside, and surveillance cameras disguised as decorative molding. The room they gave me is larger than my entire queen's apartment. King-sized bed with sheets that feel like water, a private bathroom with heated marble floors, and a walk-in closet someone filled with clothes in my exact size. Jeans, blouses, practical shoes. Nothing extravagant, but everything fits perfectly. I don't want to think about how they got my measurements. Ethan's room is down the hall. I've seen him twice. Once at breakfast the second day, where he couldn't meet my eyes and pushed eggs around his plate until Marco appeared and took him away. The second time was yesterday evening, when I heard him laughing from somewhere in the depths of the house. Actually laughing. The sound was so unexpected I followed it to the garage, where I found him elbow-deep in the engine of a vintage Alfa Romeo, while a man I later learned was Vincent, head of security, explained torque ratios. My brother looked focused, engaged, less like someone awaiting execution and more like someone learning a trade. I left before he noticed me watching. The mansion operates on schedules I'm still decoding. Staff arrive at 6 a.m, a cook, 2 housekeepers, a groundskeeper, someone whose job seems to be exclusively maintaining the indoor plants. They work in efficient silence, completing tasks and departing by early afternoon. Anthony himself is a ghost. I've heard him twice, voice carrying from behind closed doors, speaking in rapid Italian that my high school classes can't parse. But I haven't seen him since that first night in his office, which is why I'm surprised when I realize the household management is chaos. It starts when I wake early on the 4th morning and wander downstairs looking for coffee. The kitchen is restaurant grade, all stainless steel and commercial appliances, but the pantry is a disaster. Canned goods mixed with dry goods, no organization by type or date. I find 3 opened bags of flour, 2 of them growing weevils. The refrigerator is worse. Expired milk, produce rotting in the drawers, takeout containers dating back weeks. The cook, an older Italian woman named Rosa, arrives to find me wrist-deep in the cleanup, Garbage bags piled around me. Signorina, no, you don't need to. She rushes forward, distressed. When did you last do inventory? I ask, not unkindly. Her face flushes. I cook what Mr. Bellini requests. The ordering, the stocking, that's not my responsibility. Whose responsibility is it? She spreads her hands, helpless. It was Maria's job, but she left 3 months ago. No one replaced her. 3 months of accumulating disorder. I think of Anthony Bellini's pristine office, the perfect tailoring of his suits, the precision in his movements. This chaos would drive him insane if he knew about it. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe the household staff is invisible to him, a machine that's supposed to run itself. I'll handle it, I tell Rosa. By noon, I've cataloged every item in the kitchen, created a master inventory list, and identified what needs ordering. By evening, I've done the same for the household supplies, cleaning products, linens, toiletries. The housekeepers watch me with wary confusion, unsure if I'm overstepping or helping. I don't ask permission. I just do the work. The pattern continues. I discover the staff schedules overlap inefficiently, leaving gaps where no one's available, and redundancies where 3 people are doing one person's job. I create a new rotation, posting it on the back of the pantry door. I find receipts for vendors overcharging by 30% and research alternatives. I establish protocols for supply orders, maintenance requests, and emergency contacts. The house begins functioning like the restaurant I used to work at during the Sunday brunch rush. Organized chaos transformed into synchronized efficiency. On the 7th day, I'm in the library cross-referencing vendor invoices against delivery logs. When I feel the change in air pressure, that means I'm no longer alone. Anthony Bellini stands in the doorway, suit jacket off, shirt sleeves rolled to his elbows. It's the most casual I've seen him, and somehow the absence of armor makes him more intimidating. His forearms are corded with muscle, and there's a thin white scar running along his left wrist that I didn't notice before. You've been busy. His voice cuts through the silence. I set down my pen carefully, turning in the leather chair to face him. The house was falling apart. I'm aware. He moves into the room, scanning the spreadsheets I've laid across the massive oak table. I've been meaning to hire a house manager for months. Haven't had time to vet candidates properly. You don't need a candidate, you need a system. I gesture at the documents. Your vendors were robbing you blind. Your staff schedules were a mess. And your pantry hadn't been inventoried since last spring. He picks up one of the spreadsheets, dark eyes scanning the columns. Something shifts in his expression. Not surprise exactly. Recognition. You did all this in a week. I did this in 3 days. The rest of the time I've been refining it. I stand, moving to the table to point at specific entries. You were paying 32% over market rate for produce. I found 3 suppliers willing to beat that by 15% with better quality. Your housekeeping service was charging for 5 hours daily, but only working 3. I renegotiated to hourly instead of flat rate. And your security system monitoring subscription was auto-renewing at the promotional rate that expired 2 years ago. Anthony sets down the spreadsheet, studying me instead of the numbers. You could have stayed in your room, read books, watched television, pretended to be a guest. I don't know how to be a guest. The words come out sharper than intended. I know how to work, so I worked. Managing a household isn't payment for protection, Kayla. No, it's proof that I'm useful. That keeping me here is an investment, not charity. I meet his gaze directly. You said the debt would be paid through loyalty and trust. I'm paying it the only way I know how. For a long moment, neither of us speaks. The library feels smaller suddenly. The air charged with something I can't name. Anthony's jaw tightens fractionally, and I watch the muscle jump beneath the skin. Tomorrow you'll meet with my accountant, he says finally. Show him what you've found. He'll implement the changes with proper authority. It's acknowledgement. Approval, even. I nod once. The sound of shattering glass explodes from the front of the house. Anthony moves before the echo fades, his entire body shifting from relaxed to lethal in the span of a heartbeat. He's through the library door and down the hall before I process what happened. I follow, instinct overriding caution. The main foyer is pristine except for the window. One of the tall leaded glass panels that frame the entrance is destroyed, fragments scattered across marble tile. In the center of the destruction sits a brick, gray and unremarkable except for the paper wrapped around it and secured with twine. Marco appears from nowhere, gun drawn, barking orders into a radio. 2 other security personnel materialize, sweeping the perimeter. Anthony stands perfectly still, staring at the brick with an expression I recognize from the marina. Cold, calculating fury. He crouches, picking up the brick with careful hands. The paper unrolls as he removes the twine. Even from 10 feet away, I can read the message scrawled in black marker. Bought the debt, not the grudge. Watch your back, Bellini. Sweep the grounds, Anthony says quietly. Check all cameras for the past hour. Find who did this. Marco holsters his weapon. They're sending a message, testing boundaries. They violated my home. Each word is precisely enunciated, devoid of inflection. That's not a test. That's a declaration. His eyes find mine across the foyer, and something in his expression makes my stomach drop. Not fear directed at me. Fear for me. Take her to the safe room, he tells Marco. I don't need... now. The word is absolute. Final. Marco's hand on my elbow is gentle but unyielding. He guides me toward a section of wall that slides open to reveal a reinforced door with a biometric lock. The room beyond is windowless, furnished with monitors showing every angle of the property. Wait here, Marco says. Don't open this door for anyone except Mr. Bellini or myself. Understood? I nod numbly. The door seals with a hydraulic hiss, and I'm alone with the screens and my racing thoughts. The O'Sullivans aren't backing down. They took Anthony's money but kept the threat. And now they've proven they can reach past his defenses, get close enough to damage property, close enough to hurt the people inside, close enough to hurt me. I watch the monitors as security fans across the grounds, methodical and professional. I watch Anthony in the foyer, still holding the brick, his jaw set in a way that promises retribution. I watch Ethan being escorted from the garage to another secure location, his face pale but composed. We thought accepting Anthony's protection meant safety, but all it did was paint targets on our backs in a war we don't understand and can't fight. 20 minutes pass before the safe room door opens. Anthony enters alone, and the space immediately feels smaller. He doesn't speak, just stands with his back against the wall, arms crossed. They didn't find anyone, I say, not a question. Professional throw. Calculated trajectory to avoid cameras. They were gone before the glass hit the floor. His voice is flat. Declan wants me to know he's watching. That buying your debt didn't buy your safety. So what happens now? Anthony's dark eyes fix on mine with uncomfortable intensity. Now I make a choice. I can send you away. Different city, new identities, enough money to start over. You'd be free of me and free of Declan. 50-50 chance you survive 6 months before someone tracks you down. Or you stay here, closer than before, under constant protection, until I eliminate the threat permanently. He pushes off the wall, closing the distance between us. Keeping you here makes you a target. Sending you away makes you prey. Either option could get you killed. But at least here, I control the variables. You're asking me to trust you with my life. My voice doesn't waver. I'm telling you that you already did. The moment you ran across that marina, his hand rises, and for a second I think he might touch my face. Instead, he points at the monitors. This is my world, Kayla. Violence and strategy and calculated risks. You saved me from becoming a casualty. Let me return the favor by keeping you from becoming one. I look at the screens. At the mansion that's become both sanctuary and prison. At the man whose protection is the only barrier between me and death. I stay, I say. Anthony nods once, something like satisfaction crossing his features. Good. Then we prepare for war. The dress hangs in my closet like an accusation, deep burgundy silk that catches light and transforms it into liquid fire. I've been staring at it for 10 minutes, and it still doesn't feel real. Mr. Bellini requires your presence at the museum gala tonight. Marco delivered the message this morning with his usual economy of words. 7 o'clock. A stylist will arrive at 4 to assist with preparations. I didn't ask why. In the 2 weeks since the brick shattered our illusion of safety, I've learned that Anthony Bellini doesn't explain strategy to the pieces on his chessboard. He simply moves them. The stylist turns out to be a woman named Julia, small and severe, who takes one look at me and sighs like I've personally offended her. She spends 3 hours transforming me into someone I don't recognize. Hair swept into an elegant twist, makeup applied with precision that emphasizes cheekbones I didn't know I had, nails shaped and polished in neutral rows. When she finally allows me to put on the dress, I understand why she chose it. The color makes my hazel eyes look amber in certain light. The cut is deceptively simple, sleeveless with a high neckline, but it fits like it was sewn onto my body. The silk moves when I breathe, whispering against skin I've spent 23 years ignoring. The jewelry. Julia produces a velvet box containing delicate gold pieces, thin chain necklace with a small pendant, matching bracelet, subtle earrings. Nothing ostentatious. Everything perfectly calibrated to suggest wealth without screaming it. I look like I belong in Anthony Bellini's world. That's the point, I realize. Tonight I'm not Kayla Evans, former waitress. I'm whoever he needs me to be. The door to my room opens without knocking. Anthony enters, stops, and goes completely still. He's wearing black. Suit, shirt, tie, all in varying shades of darkness that make him look like he's carved from obsidian. His hair is styled back from his face, emphasizing the sharp architecture of his features. Those dark eyes sweep over me once, comprehensive and assessing before meeting my gaze. You'll do. 2 words, utterly devoid of inflection, but I catch the fractional tightening of his jaw, the way his hands flex once before he clasps them behind his back. For Anthony Bellini, that's equivalent to a gasp. What exactly am I doing? I turn from the mirror to face him directly. Attending a charity gala. The museum is hosting a fundraiser for arts education. Very public, very visible, very safe. He moves further into the room, and I'm suddenly aware of how intimate this space is. My bedroom, my territory. Except nothing here is actually mine. Declan O'Sullivan will be there. He sits on the museum's board of directors. Understanding crystallizes cold and sharp. You're using me as bait. I'm establishing that you're under my protection in a setting where violence would be inconvenient for everyone involved. He stops 3 feet away. Declan needs to see that threatening you means confronting me. Publicly. Where his reputation is as vulnerable as mine. There are 6 of my people on the floor, 4 more outside, and a response team within minutes, he adds, shifting fully into the cadence I have come to recognize as operational, not personal. I am not throwing you to him, Kayla. I am making sure that when he looks at you, he has to see me, and the cost of underestimating both of us. And if he doesn't care about reputation, then we'll have confirmation that he's abandoned rational strategy for revenge. Either way, I gain information. Anthony tilts his head slightly. You've been observing the security rotations. You've noticed the blind spots in the northeast corner of the property. You've watched Vincent train Ethan in defensive driving techniques. Don't pretend you haven't been preparing for exactly this kind of situation. He's right. I've been paying attention to everything, cataloging details the way I used to memorize table numbers and drink orders. Survival instinct repackaged as situational awareness. What do you need me to do? Be yourself. Watch. Listen. Tell me if you see anything unusual. His voice drops lower. You have good instincts, Kayla. You proved that at the marina. Trust them tonight. Before I can respond, he produces a small earpiece from his pocket. Communication device. Marco will be on the channel, as will 2 other security personnel positioned throughout the venue. If you feel unsafe, say the word sanctuary, and you'll be extracted immediately. I take the earpiece, fitting it into my ear. It's nearly invisible, warm from his hand. Ready? He asks. No, absolutely not. But I nod anyway. The museum is all marble columns and vaulted ceilings, transformed into a garden of lights and flowers for the evening. Hundreds of guests circulate through galleries temporarily cleared of art, replacing paintings with people wearing clothing that costs more than most cars. A string quartet plays something classical and forgettable. Waiters move like ghosts. offering champagne and hors d'oeuvres with practiced invisibility. I recognize that invisibility. I used to be one of them. Anthony's hand settles at the small of my back as we enter. Not possessive, but present, guiding me through introductions to people whose names I immediately forget. Museum directors, city officials, other men in expensive suits who shake Anthony's hand with careful respect. Their wives and dates assess me with varying degrees of curiosity and dismissal. "Anthony, darling." A woman in emerald green intercepts us, air kissing near Anthony's cheeks without making contact. "So glad you could make it." "And who is this lovely creature?" "Kayla Evans." "Kayla, this is Margaret Hartwell, the museum's primary benefactor." I shake her hand, matching her pressure exactly. "Beautiful event, Mrs. Hartwell. Please call me Margaret. Any friend of Anthony's is always welcome." Her eyes catalog every detail of my appearance, pricing each element. "That dress is stunning." "Valentino? I'm not sure," I admit honestly. "It was a gift." Margaret's smile sharpens with understanding. How generous. As she glides away, I catch Anthony's reflection in a nearby window. He's watching me with something approaching amusement. "You're doing well," he murmurs. So quietly only I can hear. "I haven't done anything." "Exactly. You're not trying too hard." That's the secret to this world. Confidence and boredom in equal measure. We move deeper into the crowd. I accept champagne from a passing waiter more for something to hold than any desire to drink it. The bubbles tickle my nose, and I take a tiny sip, letting the cold liquid ground me in the moment. That's when I see him. Not Declan O'Sullivan, though I spot him later across the room, distinguished and silver-haired, holding court near a bronze sculpture. No, I see the waiter. Young, maybe 25, carrying a tray of champagne flutes. Nothing unusual about that. Except he's sweating despite the museum's climate control. Except his eyes never quite focus on any guest, always sliding away from direct contact. Except his trajectory through the crowd is deliberate, angling specifically toward where Anthony stands talking to a city councilman. I've worked enough service jobs to recognize the difference between a professional waiter and someone pretending. Professionals move efficiently, take the quickest path, make eye contact to anticipate needs. This man is doing none of those things. He's forcing himself through a script, and the effort shows in every stiff movement. My pulse kicks up. I touch Anthony's arm lightly, interrupting his conversation. "Excuse me." I pitch my voice to carry polite apology. "I need to borrow him for just a moment." Anthony's eyes flick to mine, reading the tension in my face. He excuses himself smoothly and allows me to guide him 2 steps away. "The waiter with the champagne tray, coming from your left." Don't look directly at him. I keep my voice low, casual, like we're discussing the art on the walls. "Describe him." "Mid-20s, dark hair, white jacket, black tie, carrying 8 flutes, moving toward you." He's nervous, wrong kind of nervous, and he keeps checking his watch like he's on a schedule. Anthony's jaw tightens microscopically. "Marco." "Northwest corner, waiter with champagne." Flag him. The response through the earpiece is immediate. Copy. The waiter is 10 feet away now. 8 feet. He's going to walk directly past us, offer the tray, and whatever is in those glasses will end up in Anthony's hand. I don't think. I just move. My heel catches on absolutely nothing, and I stumble forward with a small cry of surprise. My hand shoots out for balance, connecting with the waiter's elbow. The tray tilts. 8 champagne flutes tumble in slow motion, crystal shattering against marble in a cascade of glass and golden liquid. "Oh God, I'm so sorry," I gasp, loud enough for nearby guests to turn and stare. "I don't know what happened. The waiter's face goes white, then gray. His eyes dart to the exit, to Anthony. Back to the exit. Fight or flight wore across his features. He chooses flight. He drops the tray completely and bolts, pushing through startled guests. Marco materializes from the crowd, moving to intercept, but the waiter has a head start and desperation on his side. He crashes through a service door and disappears. Anthony's hand catches my waist, steadying me against him. His other hand rises to cup my elbow. the picture of concern for anyone watching. But his voice, low and private against my ear, carries something else entirely. Good eyes, Kayla. The words send electricity down my spine. Not praise exactly. Recognition. Acknowledgement that I saw something his trained security missed. That my instincts were correct. That I just prevented whatever poison or drug was in those glasses from reaching him. Are you all right? He doesn't move away. And neither do I. We're pressed together in a way that looks protective from the outside, but feels like something else entirely. Heat radiates from him through the thin silk of my dress. I'm fine. Just clumsy. My voice sounds breathless. You've never been clumsy a day in your life. His thumb traces small circles against my waist. Whether conscious or unconscious, I can't tell. Marco. Status? Lost him in the parking structure. Sweeping now. Vehicle descriptions being collected. Anthony's expression doesn't change, but I feel the tension coiling through his body. Secure the perimeter. I want to know who he is by midnight. Guests are beginning to lose interest in the disturbance. Conversations resuming at normal volume. A museum staff member appears with a dustpan, efficiently clearing the broken glass. We should leave. I say quietly. No. Anthony's hand slides from my waist to the small of my back, anchoring me. We stay exactly as long as planned. Leaving early shows fear. We don't give Declan that satisfaction. So we stay. We circulate through galleries, admiring paintings I don't see and sculpture I don't process. Anthony introduces me to more people whose names evaporate the moment they're spoken. But through it all, his hand never leaves the small of my back. That constant pressure, warm and possessive, tethering me to him. And across the room, Declan O'Sullivan watches us with eyes like chips of ice, his expression revealing nothing but his stillness, revealing everything. The message has been sent and received. I'm Anthony Bellini's now, in whatever capacity that means. And tonight, in a room full of witnesses, I proved I'm more than decorative protection. I'm an asset. The question is whether that makes me safer or just paints the target brighter. The bunker smells like filtered air and expensive electronics. 20 feet below the mansion's foundation, surrounded by reinforced concrete and steel, it feels less like a safe room and more like a war room. Banks of monitors display every angle of the property in high definition. 3 desks hold computers running surveillance software, communications equipment, and what looks like tactical planning maps of the city. Anthony strips off his suit jacket the moment the hydraulic door seals behind us, draping it over a chair with uncharacteristic carelessness. He loosens his tie, rolls his sleeves to his elbows, and I'm struck by how much more dangerous he looks when the polish comes off. The control